Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Ranking the Songs. And I've got a pair of guests here today. I've got Sidney and Logan from Slogan's Rock and Metal Extravaganza. Welcome, guys.
Hey Joey, how's it going? Hey everybody, thanks for watching and thanks Joey for having us on. So yeah,
Yeah.
basically me and Logan, we were always just like watching Grant Rock Warehouse and a bunch of other like music channels and stuff, and we are always like in the comments. So we kind of hit it off from there because we were always joking around and stuff with each other in the comments. And I figured, well, we could sort of do this. Let's just try something. So I decided to start off with Triumph because it's a band for me that I personally, it's my favorite band. So there was no research required. Some of the lesser favorite albums I had to re-listen to, but like for the most part, I didn't even have to re-listen to anything to be able to like. There was no prep for me, so I thought, what better way to just start off a band to talk about with something that you know really well. So I'm not just having to sit there and do too much research right off the bat. But yeah, but now we're like getting into bands where don't really know the catalog off by heart, so it's fun to go back and re-listen to a lot of stuff and do catalogs that I'm not 100% familiar with. But yeah, we started off with Triumph because it was an easy one for me personally, and I got Logan into them, and now he owns every album.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah, good
the
thing
name, yeah,
good thing they don't have like 30 albums out. You'd be broke
oh
buying them,
yeah,
right?
Oh man, my
it's a
wallet
good
would be
thing they
hurting.
broke up in '87, and then yeah. But no, then yeah, the name came from basically our names. I came Sidney and Logan, so that's where we kind of came up with that. And then he added the metal extravaganza part, so it's kind of a dual effort. So
It
yeah,
was a group effort.
So do you guys on your site, do you focus more on harder rock or metal?
for the most part, like yeah, so we'll do a different band series. So right now we are on, oh boy, what are we? Well, we actually just finished Cinderella, so we've done Triumph and
Yep.
Cinderella so far.
Okay.
Only been doing it what 3 months, 3 4 months, something like that.
Yeah, November, or October. I can't
Yeah.
remember.
I think
Yeah.
I think it was checking today. It's 3 months. Yeah. So then yeah, we just finished up with Cinderella, and we included the two Tom Kiefer solo albums as well in that. So we just finished
Yep.
that up, and then now we're going to be doing. This is going to be a long one, an entire Psych series, going through everything he's ever recorded, and we're going to even touch on like some of the guest appearances he's had. Like there was a Christmas album with him doing guitar on it too. So just everything. We're going to do a whole career of him. So that'll
Yeah.
be pretty
Figured
cool.
it was a good time to do that kind of thing
Yeah.
since he just passed.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. All
yeah,
right, sounds good. Well, we're going to be ranking the songs of the Scorpions, our top 10,
yep.
and then we'll list some honorable mentions when we're all done. There we go. So, what we'll do is we'll start off with I don't care which who wants to go first
It
out
doesn't
of you
matter to
guys.
me. Man.
It
Doesn't
don't
matter.
matter, man.
All right,
Doesn't
well,
matter.
let's start off at the top. Sydney can go first, then Logan, and
Okay.
then I'll follow up. We'll throw them out two at a time. So start off with your number
All right.
10 and number 9,
Perfect.
and we will talk about them and give
All
everybody our
right.
personal rankings here.
Perfect. So I've got the thing on my computer, so don't mind me that I'm just looking at my screen. Just I can't remember my rankings off by head. I got to look at the screen. So we
Oh yeah, I'm
got.
gonna be looking at my phone. So
So I don't have this on CD, so I just went and pulled out the record. So it's from this album with that beautiful cover, and it would be opening song on side two. Actually, this is my song. Just great melodic song. It's just really good guitar playing from Uli, and yeah, and even the drumming on here is just. And Jurgen Rosenthal. It's the only Scorpions album he drummed on, but the drumming through that is almost kind of jazzy. Just he's doing a lot of drum rolls and just I don't know, just a great melodic song with a great solo. And even like I'm not a big lyrics guy, but lyrically it's sort of applies today. It's kind of like a whole peace and hope song, which sadly still doesn't exist. So I just think it's a really, really good song. It's just amazing, just amazing. And then after that, I do have this one. Where are we here? From this album, Love Drive
yeah.
with the alternate cover, and then Yeah. Second song, Another Piece of Me. Just great high energy song with Michael Schenker playing on it, and he's joined them on stage numerous times to play it live. Just really fast. It's a heavy metal song for sure. Just fast driving, energetic song with just I love the speed of it. Just a great driving song. And it's unfortunate he'll probably never join them on stage to play it anymore because yeah, there's a little bit of family issues there to say the least, but still a
Yep.
great song, and yeah, it's a highlight. So that's my number 10 and my number 9.
All
Awesome,
right.
man.
What do you got for us, Logan, for yours?
Well, I'm gonna piggyback off the album Sidney just talked about,
Mhm.
1979's Love Drive,
Mm.
with the track "I Can't Get Enough." I just I can't get enough of that track. um, yeah, man, that's just a killer, like high energy, high tempo rock tune. I mean, I love everything about it. Especially the drumming's kind of odd in that one. It's kind of like the bass and the snare are kind of like inverted on it. It's like the bass is playing the parts the snare usually would, and the bass drum is playing the parts the snare would, or the snare would play the parts the bass would. So, yeah, I just love that song, man. Um, but then I'm going to go way into the future now. To their latest album, Rock Believer.
Wow.
I wanted to pick something from that album because I really think that is a top, maybe not a top tier record, but definitely one of the better ones of the last couple that they put out. I went with I think it was the single Peacemaker, which it's a pretty cool tune. And they got Mickey D on drums on this record too, so it's pretty awesome. But yeah, it's kind of like a mid tempo, kind of one of their moodier songs, but it's got a great chorus with the Peacemaker, and he's talking about the Undertaker, kind of like "You're not gonna put me in the ground yet" kind of deal. And something about Klaus too, man. Just amazing how good he still is. Singing wise. I mean, the guy's like 76 or 77, and he still sounds great for his age, man. But yeah, those are my first two.
All right. Yeah. I just seen these guys. I think it was 2022 now, maybe
Yep.
2023. Yeah.
Probably for the tour for that one, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And yep, exactly. The Rock Believer tour. Got to see it in Detroit because it didn't come near me at all. So we had to go to them. But yeah, it's just amazing. I mean, here I am. I was able to shoot some photos right from the pit, and everybody always thinks all these singers are like faking it and not really singing. But I was right there. There's no doubt about it that this guy's singing, and you never really heard that about them. But people always suspect everybody nowadays just because there's a few bad eggs out there who are
Yeah.
using all these tricks and stuff, trying, so everybody's always skeptical about everybody if you start thinking about it,
Yep.
Yeah.
and it's a shame it's come down to that. But these guys have been
Yeah.
playing for 50 years, so you shouldn't really, I mean, they had that retirement back in like 2009. They were supposed to retire after 3 years. Then they decided, well, why should we retire? We're still on the top
Yeah.
of our game, and so,
Yeah.
we got a couple more albums out of them, a couple more tours, and don't know if we're going to see them again. I know they're doing that Vegas thing. It got postponed to later in the year, but yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, these guys definitely had a great career, and if you followed them, you guys touched base on some of their earlier work when they had Uli in the band, and now it's a totally different band. It doesn't have.
Yeah.
I think it's just Rudolph, Matthias, and Klaus left from the era where they broke big in the U.S.
Yeah.
But they've carried on, got great supporting cast always coming in. Like Mickey D on drums was a great person to pick for the job. He's killing it up there, man. I'll tell you, just
Yeah.
amazing. So now that we talked base a little bit about the Scorpions, and I'm gonna give you my number 10 finally. And although it might seem like I've got a lot of songs that are kind of, we'll say, songs that people know, there's still a handful on here that people might not be familiar with. You guys, that's why I had you guys on, because I like to see the flexibility and the
Right.
wide range of taste everybody has to help.
especially in a catalog like this, Joey. There's a bunch
Oh
Oh,
of
yeah.
yeah,
exactly.
You could almost do a ranking of two different eras.
yeah,
Yeah.
You
yeah.
could basically do the Uli era and then the Matthias era separately. It's crazy how much stuff there is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that makes it tougher when you're trying to do the list too.
Yeah.
If you're, because I'm more used to the hits and the bigger stuff. I kind of just started getting more into the older stuff recently, but
Okay.
I just find that a lot of the older stuff isn't not yet. I haven't really grasped it like I've grasped the other ones. But so for number 10 for me, I'm going with the song that kicks off their most successful, biggest selling album, Love at First Sting. Of course, we're talking about Bad Boys Running Wild,
Okay.
which is still a concert classic. They play it at every show, and they don't open the shows up with it all the time though, but they still play it during the show. And great energy song, and the riff is killer. And there's no denying how that song is just one of their best in my estimation. So that's what I got for 10. Number 9, I am going with the ballad off their biggest album. We're talking Still Loving You. I didn't know if this song was going to make my top 10, much less my honorable mentions, but
Yeah.
then I listened to it a little bit more deeper, and I just couldn't leave it off. I mean, it was just to me that song is it's who else can sing like that? Klaus Meine, just an unbelievable vocalist. Whether he's singing
Yeah.
something hard and heavy or he's singing
Yeah.
a nice ballad, this guy can do it all. And they say he had a lot of vocal issues recording the Blackout album, where Don Dokken had to come in and
Yeah.
kind of like help them out with the demos until Klaus got his voice back. But man, he hasn't had any vocal issues since. And who would
Yeah.
have thought at 70 years old, he'd still be singing these songs at the level
Yeah.
that he is?
Yeah.
You know what
It's
I'm saying? So
amazing, man.
it is. It's just simply amazing. So, he's learned how to take care of his voice over the years. And that's something that a lot of people, when they're younger, they don't think about,
Yeah.
Yeah. Took it for
and
granted.
yeah. And
Yeah.
that's the only way you're going to last a long time. If your voice goes, you're pretty much done, you know?
Well, yeah.
So that's what I got. Number 9, a great ballad, Still Loving You. And we're going to shoot it back to Sydney for his 7 and 8.
Perfect. Yeah, I don't think they were much of a big party band, right? So he took care of himself. He wasn't
Yeah.
really they weren't a band you heard like in the news for like drug problems or any of that stuff. Like it's just they were just a band that just kept consistent, never got into that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, my next one would be now this is a song that everyone should know, and if they don't, well then you don't really like the Scorpions. Oh my god, I'm looking for the CD. I don't have the CD. The title track from In Trance.
Ah,
Oh, yeah.
Easily probably my favorite. Yeah, it's my favorite Scorpions ballad for sure. And yeah, like look at that that screams 70s for you. So yeah,
Oh,
great ballad. Just it seems like it's very ahead of its time. Like it almost sounds like what hair band would start doing in the 80s, but this is way more melodic. It still has the 70s guitar sound to it, but I just find it's very influential on the sound in the 80s because it has like taste of that in the chorus of how 80s music would sound. So it's a
yeah.
great ballad, great song. Just love it. And then after that, we go to Taken by Force
mm-mm.
for I've Got to Be Free, the third song on the album. Just a really cool song. Kind of starts off with like this really neat picking sound. And then yeah, it's got this really bluesy solo. Just a great song. It's kind of a weird song, but yeah, I really like the early era. I love the early era. So yeah, I've Got to Be Free. Just a great song.
Awesome,
So
man.
that's my 8 and 7.
Yeah.
All right,
So
let's
I
see.
guess.
Yeah, let's see what Logan digs up here.
All right. Well, going for the title track from one of their other bigger albums. This bad boy
Ah,
had a blackout, baby. Man, yeah, just a great way to start that album, man. Just and that whole dive bomb whammy bar. Oh God, I just love that riff, man. And Klaus's vocals. I mean, we were just talking about him having vocal problems. I mean, you couldn't tell, man, on this album. To me, I mean, not really. I know Don's there. Like they give him credit for backing vocals. I don't know on what tracks if he does all of it or just some of it, but I don't really hear him on this song. So maybe not this song, but yeah, I just love what Matthias is doing during the verses of this song. He's like playing like a little blues or like lick behind what Rudolph's doing, and he like keeps adding like different fills to it, a bunch of tapping and well, not tapping, but like hammer-ons and stuff. It's just so cool, man. And the solo, just killer. And how it ends, with the screaming and the glass shattering. It's just, well, yeah, it's one of my favorites. I guess obviously, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's my number 8. So we'll go to my number 7, which is my first pick from the Uli era. It's the title track to Virgin Killer.
There you go.
It's just, yeah, this is probably one, I was going to say, probably one of the heaviest songs of the 70s, really. I mean, there's not a lot of bands were doing this kind of thing when they were doing this. And they didn't really do the heavy thing all the time in that era because, they kind of got like funkiness, Jimi Hendrix kind of vibes in some of the songs and stuff. But yeah, this one's just like straight heavy metal for 1976. I mean, I guess proto metal, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it's Klaus's vocals again on this song, man. It sounds like he's straining sometimes, when he's singing this song. But it's killer. Like it sounds like he's giving it everything he's got. Only problem with this song, I'd say, is too short. It should be like 5.5 minutes or something. But yeah, I love that riff, man. Oh yeah, just energetic, which is
I
a
think
good
he'd
word.
have enough voice if he sang that for 5 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably why they didn't, I guess. But yeah, it's just the energetic, man, and the riff in it and everything about it. But that's my 8 and 7. So
All right, very good. All right, so we'll see if you guys know these ones. I've got number 8 for me, comes from Savage Amusement, and I've got Walking on the Edge.
Nice.
And I think Savage Amusement is definitely I think it's one of these underrated albums that just never really, a lot of the songs didn't really get airplay. That was half the problem. They went out on this big, massive stadium tour for the album on the Monsters of Rock with Van Halen, Scorpions, Dokken, Metallica, and Kingdom Come. And yeah, it's just strange. Savage Amusement actually is their highest charting album, which many
Really?
people might not know. It reached number 5 in the US.
yeah, I wouldn't have believed that.
Yeah.
I'd say maybe because of Rhythm of Love, maybe.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah.
Well, it took them 4 years to release it from the time Love at First Sting was released. But
Really.
that's why I say it's kind of underrated because the radio, you got to remember late 80s, 88, that's when it came out. Radio was starting to kind of change a little, and then it really changed obviously once 90 and 91 hit, thanks to Kurt Cobain. But Walking on the Edge is one of these songs that I feel is definitely very underrated. So that's where I've got it at number 8. I definitely advise everybody to give it a listen. And that's 8. 7 is going to go back to one of the albums you guys mentioned. We're talking Love Drive album and the song Holiday, which is a classic, one of the first ballads that they became noted for.
Yeah.
Before they really started going a couple ballads on each album, but that was one that really stood out. The old trusty 6-minute song here on Love Drive to end the album. Yeah, just a great song, and yeah, I've got it there at number 7.
Awesome,
Nice.
man.
So we're going
It's got
down.
some great harmonies in it too. That's a good song.
Just don't
Didn't
bring
make
it up
my
to
list, but there's just it's a really good song. That's
Just don't bring it up to Michael Schenker.
yeah. I wrote everything.
All right, so we got 6 and 5 coming up next for everybody.
Let's see, what are we at here?
What do you got for 6 there?
It's me, right? Oh my
Yep.
God, I'm losing my. Okay. So haven't done this album yet. Where are we here?
Oh,
We got Animal Magnetism with another interesting album cover.
to say the least, yeah.
Yeah. The second song, Don't Make No Promises Your Body Can't Keep.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of
Killer
like another piece of Meat Part 2. It kind of reminds me of it. That's why I love it as well. It's just a fast driving song. And yeah, Klaus's vocals is just amazing on that too, and just really fast, just in your face. Again, it's a heavy metal song. I'd classify it as such. Just yeah, great song. I felt like it should have maybe opened the album, but it's still a great song. And yeah, it's only a 2 minutes 57 seconds, a short song, but just kind of gets in and gets out. But it's just fast and driving, and I'm not sure if they ever played it. I think a few times they might have played it, but
Yeah.
And you know how you mentioned another piece of meat? It was interesting how you brought that up. That that song and this song that you just mentioned
yeah,
were both written with the lyrics by Herman Rarebell, the drummer.
okay,
So that would
Wow.
kind of make sense how they're kind of, kind of all in the
yeah,
same
Yeah.
same kind of vein there. Because Herman wrote some lyrics, but it was mostly
right,
Klaus that wrote them all,
yeah.
mostly. So that was
Yeah.
interesting how those two tracks that you brought up and mentioned the similarities, and
I didn't even realize that part,
there's
but
your
yeah.
thread. Yeah,
Well, I
nice.
guess yeah, they probably would have taken his lyrics and wrote music based off of that lyrical content kind of thing. I don't know, but yeah, it is interesting. So then we get to go back to the beautiful album cover again.
Ooh,
Uh,
you
Speedy's Coming.
ah, nice.
Another another great song with out. So with Scorpions, I started off like hearing like the all the hits. I heard all the hits first, and then I went backwards and started from Lonesome Crow and made my way all the way up and just listened to everything. And then once I got to this album, it's only the second one, and I heard that song, I just fell in love with it. And even like the lyrics he mentions, like it's basically Uldie's song. Basic, I think his nickname was Speedy. I guess because of how fast he plays, I guess that was his nickname was Speedy. And it was all about him like coming out onto stage and like showing himself off kind of thing. And it mentions like a whole bunch of musicians that are in there that he was inspired by. It's lyrics about like posters up on your bedroom wall. Alice Cooper, David Bowie's mentioned, Ringo Starr. All
Yeah.
these like musicians that are mentioned in the song. It's a really cool song, and it's really still gets pretty heavy, and there's just great guitar playing throughout. And I love this early era of Scorpions. So that's my was it 7 and 6?
Hmm.
Perfect. All right. Yeah,
Awesome, man.
flip my
6 and 5.
or yeah, whatever
Yeah.
we're on.
Sorry. Yeah.
All right. I'll get into mine.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to choose the title track from this bad boy, Animal Magnetism.
Oh.
Yeah, man. I love when the Scorpions do like the fast, energetic stuff, but man, can they like slow it down and just make it's kind of like I wouldn't call it doom metal, but like it's kind of in that vein. It's kind of slower, dirgy, kind of, heavy. Just kind of gives like a menacing feel to it. I love watching the video. There's a live footage of them playing this. I don't know if it's for this tour. It might be for a later tour, but yeah, it's just killer, man. Klaus sounds like all kind of evil on it. Just yeah, it's a killer song to me. The riff's kind of, it's not really much, but I think it keeps you interested in a way to me. Doesn't have to be anything like real flashy, I guess, all the
Hmm.
time, but yeah, it's just a killer track. I was gonna mention too. I think Testament or one of the heavier bands covered this song. I can't remember. I was gonna look it up, but I forgot to
Yeah,
look it up.
you're right. Someone did cover
Yeah,
that.
it might not have been Testament. I could be wrong about that, but I know it was like a thrashier band. I think covered the song,
It's
which
a
makes
really
total sense.
weird song. Like it's
Yeah, yeah. But I'll get into my 5, which is another title track. I didn't even notice this, guys, until I was doing this.
picked all
I have
title tracks.
I have 4 title tracks in a row. I didn't even mean to do that. It's just like
Oh,
I guess those are the ones that get stuck in my head. But it's Love Drive
Ah.
from '79. Love this song, man. It's got that heavy metal gallop before Iron Maiden. Sure, Steve Harris was listening to that a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah, and the unison leads between. I'm guessing it's Matthias. I can't ever say his name right.
Hmm.
Matthias and Michael Schenker. They do
Yeah.
like a little unison run in there. And Rudy's just holding down that galloping riff. Love it, man. Klaus singing about like I don't know. It's kind of like Queen. I'm in love with my car. It sounds like he's talking about a woman, but he's talking about a car at the same time. It's kind
Yeah.
of funny lyrics. They always had kind of but for German speaking guys, they had pretty cool lyrics too. I always thought. But yeah, it's just a cool track, man. One of my favorites. So that's my 6 and 5.
All right. Yeah. And then you mentioned Steve Harrison. Believe it or not, today, oddly enough, is his 69th birthday.
Nice.
Didn't
Talk
even mean to
about
do that.
ironic.
I seen
Yeah.
earlier too. I seen earlier too, Joey, that Love at First Sting came out today in the U.S.
Oh, wow. A
Yeah,
Nice.
lot of coincidental things going on here. There's usually a theme to this, right? Just crazy.
yeah.
All right. So there we got yours. Let's go with mine, number six. And I'm going back to that album that I mentioned already once before, and we're talking Savage Amusement, which people don't talk much about. Well, there's two songs on it from here. Of course, this time I've got the big hit that the radio played, even though it didn't chart. Scorpions weren't really big for charting, which is odd because of all you figure all the songs that they got played on the
Yeah.
radio in the 80s and the early
Yeah.
90s, not many of them are actually charted, but here they are still
Huh.
cranking on the radio all the time. You still hear a lot of these songs. And this was one of them. Obviously, we're talking about the big song, Rhythm of Love, the one that has the groove that hits the bone, Rhythm of Love. And yeah, definitely I've always liked this, loved this song, and it seems like I don't think they play it much live anymore, which was a shock. I know they did on the first couple years of their farewell, and then they kind of, I guess, retired it. I guess, because they had the new albums coming out, and they were playing a couple songs off the new album, so you got to get rid of something. And sadly, this is one of the songs they kind of retired, I guess. But yeah, Rhythm of Love was one of those ones I always heard on the radio, especially was when this album came out. That was the lead single, and you still hear it on classic rock stations today. So that's what I had there. And number five is one of their biggest hits as well. That did chart at number 65 on the charts. Although for as many times as I heard it on the radio, I could have sworn it would have been a top 40 hit, but
Yeah.
65 was as close as it came. And we're talking
Wow.
about No One Like You from Blackout.
That only went to 65.
Yeah,
That's
isn't that
crazy.
crazy?
That's nuts.
Yeah, that was insane. So as much as I always heard that one on the radio, I could have sworn that it would have at least made, you know, in the 20s or something.
Yeah.
And it's weird when you look at their history too. Some countries it did do really, really well in, and then for some reason the U.S. it wasn't until, you know, Love at First Stink that came out that really, I mean, obviously this helped pave the way, but
Yeah.
Okay.
um,
Yeah.
like even No One Like You only charted in three countries. It was 64 in the UK and good old Canada, it was number 49. But nowhere else did it chart, not even in
Crazy.
Germany.
That's wow.
Yeah. They had more German hits
Wow.
later on in their career than they did
Crazy.
during their most popular period in the United States and everywhere else. It's just insane how that worked out for them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I always felt No One Like You was definitely the song that really helped kind of commercialize them in a way, and it definitely laid the groundwork for what was to come with Love at First Sting. They kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
went towards that more commercial sound on that album, and it definitely paid off in
Yeah.
spades since Love at First Sting went triple platinum. So,
Yeah.
all right, so that's what I got for number six was Rhythm of Love, five was No One Like You, and then we're gonna take it back to Sydney for his number four and number three.
Yeah. Yeah. That was probably one of the first songs I heard too. No One Like You was like one of the. That's like pretty much everyone. Oh, I guess Rock You Like a Hurricane as well. But yeah, it's a good song.
Yeah. Probably those two for me. So
There we go. So then we go back. Oh, the next two are going to be from same. I'm horrible at remembering album. They're like my top four here, and I can't even remember what album. I'm getting old. Oh boy, where are we? Taken by Force, I believe. Nope. There we go. In Trance.
Ah,
Is it in? Okay, yeah. For the opening song on In Trance, Dark Lady.
ah,
Just yeah. Okay, yeah. These are from both from here. Okay, so yeah. First song, Dark Lady. Just I like how it goes back. Yeah, Uli's not a great singer. He never was a good singer. Just listen to Hellcat. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Not a great, but I like his voice better on here. It suits the music. It's like one of those voices. It's like Ace, not a great singer, but who cares, kind of thing.
Mhm.
It suits the music. And then, but it goes back and forth between him and Klaus. How Klaus like comes in with these really high screams on the part where he sings "Lady," and he's just screaming. And like, yeah, I don't know how he didn't lose his voice after that song. It's just such a great, and that's a pure. It's Hendrix worship basically. It's a Hendrix song with Klaus Meine throwing in screams here and there. Just a great song. And then same album, Top of the Bill, fourth song on this album. Another high energy. I like all the Lee Hendrix influence stuff in this early era, as you can tell. Yeah, that's a great song. And then the version on Tokyo Tapes is even better. Just a great song. And that solo, oh my god, and his screaming in that too. It's just should have shattered glass on here, not it's a great song. So yeah, that's my 4 and 3, Dark Lady and Top of the Bill.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Yeah, I think really thinking trance was kind of where they kind of transitioned into making straightforward rock. Maybe I don't want to say that, but you know what I mean. Because like Fly to the Rainbow has a lot of jammy stuff, and
Yeah,
Lonesome Crow definitely Lonesome Crow is all jams,
yeah,
which there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just I think like me and you were talking, Sydney, this week. I think that album is when they kind of started refining their sound, and
yeah,
they kind of found what they wanted to do with Uli. And I mean, you can't say enough about that guy. He's just like
yeah,
a virtuoso, man. Just a great
yeah.
player. But yeah, I'll get into my 4 and 3. Piggyback off Joey this time. I picked the big hit off Blackout, man. No One Like You.
Ah,
Yeah, just a killer song, man. I love that lead break. Right off the bat. You get that little snare hit, and then you're just off and away on this song, man. I love how it changes in the verses too. It doesn't stay like the same thing all the way through. That's just
Yeah.
what I always liked about this song, I think, because it kind of starts with the chorus line in the guitars, because the
The
heavy,
solo.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's the same kind of.
yeah,
But besides, without the lead, that's kind of the same kind of deal when you get to the chorus. So it kind of teases you a little bit, and then it makes you go through the slow little melodic section, and then you go back into the big chorus.
yeah.
Just killer, man. I love the video too with Rudolph playing the guy. I think it's seeing the
That's it's a
it's
funny video.
actually yeah in this picture it's actually the artist. I can't remember his name, but yeah, it's the artist on here. But Rudolph plays him in the video, so I thought that was cool. Yeah, just a great song, and like we were just talking about, how did it not chart higher? What were we doing in the U.S.?
Yeah.
um, but yeah, that's my number 4, and then number 3 here. We're gonna go to the zoo, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
ah.
Um, yeah, just love that song, man. It's kind of in that slower, bluesy,
Yeah.
kind of Scorpions vibe to it. I read that Klaus kind of wrote this song about New York because he looked at it as a zoo in his head, and he talks about 42nd Street, and yeah, it's pretty. Really, Rudolph and Klaus are the two like main collaborators in this band. They really wrote a lot of stuff. I'm sure in the Uli era he was probably a big influence in that, but like after he left, it seems like Klaus and Rudolph really bounced ideas off each other and just made great songs like this one, man. And Matthias's talk box solo, that's probably my favorite use of a talk box. I just
Nice.
I just love it, man. And how it ends, it's kind of all atmospheric, and it really goes right into Animal Magnetism. So whenever I
Yeah.
listen, I mean, I usually listen to this thing all the way through when I play it, but I mean, if I'm only gonna play the zoo, I gotta play Animal Magnetism right after. To
Yep.
me, they kind of go hand in hand. But yeah, it's my 4 and 3.
All right, very good. Yeah, we're definitely getting some variety here. And
Yeah.
so far, the next two songs I have coming up here at 4 and 3 haven't been talked about yet. So
Nice.
let's bring
Awesome.
in my number 4. And guess what album I'm going back to again?
Savage.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I had to
That's cool,
guess.
Joey. That's cool.
All
Gonna
right.
guess the song.
So I've got the album's closing track coming up. If you know what that one is, it's none other than we're talking Believe in Love,
Okay.
which was a nice ballad that should have been the hit off the album. That should have definitely made top 40 in my estimation. Not sure why it didn't. Maybe it was a little too long. I don't know. It's hard to say. But it could have also been, you know, they did release it as the second single, but it just didn't do anything. And I'm not sure what parts of the country they released it in or if it was released in wherever. But it did seem like after Rhythm of Love, the only song I heard on my radio stations by me was Media Overkill, which is another rare song that
Yeah.
never really got the light of day. But for some reason, Rhythm of Love, that maybe that seems to be the only song that people know off the album because that was the one
Mhm.
that was played the most. So, but Believe in Love is definitely one of these songs that I don't know. You gotta love ballads, I guess, and that's why I love that song. It's just it's got this coolness to it where it's not like a sappy ballad,
Yeah.
but the way the song moves along, definitely grabbed my attention and drew me in. And that's number four. So number three, I'm going to none other than the Crazy World CD.
Well,
And we're not whistling here.
okay.
We're
You scared
picking,
me.
we're we're picking Tease Me, Please Me.
There we go.
Kind of seems like a cheesy song in a way. But I don't
Uh,
know. I would be pissed if I saw a Scorpions concert without seeing this song done live. I
wow.
just love this song live. It really they nail it live. I just love it. And this is definitely my favorite song off of Crazy World, obviously, because so far I've not even mentioned Crazy World. But it was the big video. It got, airplay and everything. And it was another one of those situations where you would think, that it was a big hit for as often as you saw the video on MTV, and it looks like, according to what I'm seeing here, this song across the board didn't chart anywhere.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah, just weird.
Crazy. When you
Yeah,
think of how big When the Change was, it's like,
yeah.
yeah. I'm sure it might have made like a mainstream rock chart somewhere. It doesn't list it here, but I'm sure it did that but just to not make it on the regular charts, I was just kind of surprised though. I
Yeah, that's
thought
weird.
for sure that one would have been on there. But yeah, and this one was actually written. Uh, the lyrics were written by Klaus Herman Rarebell and Jim Valance, who did a lot of writing with Brian
Really?
Adams.
Ryan Adams, yeah.
Yep, so that was pretty cool. He actually wrote on that one and a couple others on the album. So they brought in one of the song doctors. They call these guys like Valance and you
Yeah.
know
Desmond
Aerosmith.
Child.
Yep, Aerosmith used Desmond Child and Marty Fredrickson. A lot of these guys are called song doctors, because they
Yeah.
come in and they help these guys write hit songs. And for the most part, they usually works a miracle here. But
Yeah.
yeah. So that's what I got for my number three. Tease me, please me.
Nice.
So we are really going down to the wire here now with our number two and number
Nice.
one. Let's see how you guys come up with yours here.
Like I say, I've always said his name wrong. I've always said Jim Valance. Is it Valance? Is it actually?
I don't know.
I've
I'm
always
not.
said Valance. Even mine. I've said
Yeah, I
Klaus
think
Mine. You said Mina. I don't know what the proper pronunciation
well, I
is.
can't even say Matthias's name right, so you're doing
He is
fine.
Jabs with the abs, but yeah,
Just make
Yeah,
it
oh,
you
sure.
make it sound
Cool.
believable is the way you got to carry yourself.
Uh,
Don't question yourself unless corrected by somebody.
yeah. Oh my God. You'll never know unless you interview these guys how to actually say their name. So
Yeah.
it's funny. So
Believe
yeah, we're
me, I
going.
I asked these guys before if it's a hard pronunciation. I asked them before we get started just to be on the last thing you want to do is butcher somebody's name.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We have Tom Kiffer with us right now. What?
That click, you get dead air.
Oh, yeah. So we're getting to yeah. Both these my top two are from my favorite Scorpions album. I'd probably call it my favorite Scorpions album, maybe in Trance, but yeah, my two favorite songs, however, are off of this album, and it's Virgin Killer. So my number two is this is where I struggled, was to pick number one and pick number two, because for me the songs are a tie, and I pretty much just flipped a coin and said okay. So my number two will be Catch Your Train. Cool. Just it starts off with just this fast riff, and then just Uli going nuts on the leads that just go throughout the entire song, and he's just it's just like wailing away throughout the entire thing. And they do sometimes play it live, but they do this really weird acoustic version, and it's not a song. It sounds weird when you do this song acoustic. It doesn't work as an acoustic song. It's a very strange version when they try to do it acoustic. But yeah, it's a great fast. And then yeah, my number one has to be the title track, Virgin Killer. Like Logan said, and I've listened to like a lot of obscure like bands from the 70s that I've just heard. I'll go through YouTube and like try to find all these rare bands with like one albums and stuff. And I still have yet to pretty much find a heavier song than Virgin Killer in 1976. Like it's just Klaus's voice. If you sit there and try to sing that song, you're done. just scream. I've tried, and then I can't talk for a week. It's just screaming. It's just like, oh my god, this is such a high energy song, and it's funny. Uli Roth wrote it, but it says here, but yeah, Klaus is just screaming up a storm, and I'm not sure if they ever played it live. Maybe when the album came out to support the album, but you never see footage of them ever doing it. I can see why. Like he probably would just, after that song, trying to do that live, would just
and doing that over and over. Oh man,
because he's not even really he's not even really singing. He's just kind of just screaming really loudly. But yeah, he's just going all out on that song. And yeah, like I wouldn't want, especially nowadays. Can you imagine him trying to sing that now? Like he's still got a good voice, but to try to do that and at his age, I don't think he ever even did it back then, because I can imagine that's got to be difficult. Like that's just
probably straining enough to do it in the studio.
That strikes me as a one taker where he just did one take and thought, I'm not singing that again. I can't imagine having to do multiple takes of that. Like that's just crazy.
Yeah.
It seems like a song. I'm just guessing. It seems like a song to me that he would have had to just wing it and just scream, because I couldn't imagine trying to do that more than once, over and over again. So yeah, that's my number one, is Virgin Killer.
Awesome, man.
All right.
Yeah, like all the diversity we got going on, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Joey's got 1 foot in the 80s, and Sidney's got, both feet in the 70s, and I got both, one over here, one over there. Which, that's cool, man. But my number two is coming out blackout again. Gotta be China White, man.
Wow.
Love China White. Yeah, just one of my favorite, slower pace. Just like I said, man, I just love that evil kind of Scorpion sound they get, man. And that riff. And I love how it changes too. It like changes time signatures in it too. It's like it goes up and up and up. I think I was watching somebody talk about the Scorpions this week for preparation for the show, and they were talking about this. Kind of sounds like something Michael Schenker would have wrote, which kind of it kind of does sound like something maybe in Michael Schenker group, on a Soul Attack or something. But yeah, and I love the lyrics in this one. It's kind of like singing about the end of the world and stuff. It's pretty deep stuff compared to what Scorpions usually, not dissing their lyrics, but it's usually not, something that's, topical and talking about war and all that kind of thing. Yeah, it's just killer, man. One of my favorites. And my number one, Sidney, might as well hold up Taken by Force, because
if I could find it,
if you can find it, man. El Sharon or Sharon or however you say it, that song, man, that's just, that's killer. It's got that like European whatever kind of scale he's playing at the start of it, and then he does that lead, which is like mind blowing. I mean, all the stuff Uli did in the 70s, man. even if I didn't represent him that much, I mean, I love that period, man. I mean, he was just a virtuosic guitar player, you know. You can tell he
Yeah.
loved his Hendrix, but like in songs like Sales of Sharon and stuff,
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's just doing stuff like nobody was doing at the time, really. I mean, maybe a couple people, but you know, that's why I always put like Taken by Force and Blackout usually probably my two favorites. I always say that period kind of bookends my favorite albums because I love those four in a row there. Um, but yeah, it's just a killer track. Love that heavy riff that goes into the verses. You know, Klaus just sounds attitude, 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 man. Yeah, and it's got them like soaring. You know, he's kind of going up and up in the verses towards the end of it.
Mhm.
You know, and I love at the end how they go back to that riff. It's kind of like fades out. You know, or Uli's like playing it kind of clean. You know, and it sounds like it's like fading out all the way. Just a killer track, man. But yeah, it's my 2 and 1. So
Yeah,
Nice.
throw it over to Joe.
I saw Uli play that song live last year.
Nice.
He ended
Oh,
his set with it. So you would have loved it.
awesome.
Yeah, I mean
Oh
he still plays amazing. Yeah, just amazing. I got to see him and interview him. I don't know if you saw my interview with him, but yeah, it
Oh
was
wow.
great.
I'll check that.
Yeah,
yeah, I have to
he's
check that out.
great guy, great guitarist, man. It's glad he everything worked out good for him as well. You know, he's happy what he's doing, and
Yeah.
Yeah,
Scorpions are happy doing what they're doing, and it's a win-win for the fans. If you like him,
Yeah.
you get to see all the different things he did from the time he left the Scorpions up until now, and he's still making music, which is cool.
Yeah.
All right, so we're getting
yeah,
down. My feet are in the 80s, I guess I was told. And yeah, well, we're gonna stay in the 80s here, but we're gonna go with the same album for my last two songs, interestingly enough. The first song is gonna be one that you mentioned already. It's the title track
Black.
from Blackout. How can you not like Blackout, man? What a great song. Just phenomenal, phenomenal song. I've always loved this song. This is one of those songs I'm going, yeah, after Klaus gets past 50, he won't be able to sing it anymore. And, he proves me wrong year after year.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Still sounds great in concert, man. Just amazing, this song. I can't get over how good he still sounds, after all these years. But Blackout to
yeah,
me, that and No One Like You, obviously, were the two songs that I first heard from them before, they hit big with, so I was familiar with the Blackout album. That's where I came into play with the Scorpions. For many it was Love at First Sting because maybe
Yeah.
because that's where they were when they were growing up. It all depends when you actually are in, where you were when you first heard these songs. So
yeah.
Blackout is my number two, and my number one is coming from the same album. We're talking about the closing song on the album, and I'm not
Oh.
sure if you're
Wow.
familiar with it, but it's none other than the great song When the Smoke is Going
Wow.
Down. Just a
Nice.
phenomenal, phenomenal song. Uh, I would love to see them play this in concert, man. It's probably the one song that I never got to see them sing live yet, that I would just love to see. But
Nice.
yeah, When the Smoke is Going Down, it's a slower song, but it's got some bite to it, and of course, just great guitar work by Rudolph there. And yeah, I just love this album. This whole album, Blackout, is great all the way through.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
I just love it. And then When the Smoke is Going Down to me is the pinnacle song in the catalog to me for the Scorpions.
Nice.
And many of these songs that you guys mentioned uh, also were songs that came close to making my list. But let's just see, what we came up with for honorable mentions. What do you got for yours there, Sydney?
Well, I can't believe it didn't make. Uh, yeah. Spoiler alert: Blackout didn't even make my honors. I don't know how. When you first asked me this, I'm like, okay, how's Blackout making my list? And then I go back and I look at all the stuff in the '70s I like, and I'm like, I can't. I don't know. Like, it's crazy to me. Like, it was. I think it's probably like my 14th favorite. I think it was just missed out on the honorables. But like, yeah, if the '70s stuff didn't exist, it would probably be my number one, most likely. So just that's how it is. If Scorpions started in the '80s, yeah, that's probably my number one. So for I guess honorables, are we doing it from like least favorite to
Yeah, just
favorite
go like
honorable, or
we'll
does it
say
really?
13, 12 down to 11. So 11 would be the song that just missed out making the top 10.
Okay, so 13, 12, 11. Okay,
Yep.
just do all three. Or are we
Yep.
going?
Do all three. Yep.
Okay. So yeah, three. I think yeah, someone would mention. I think Logan mentioned it. I think can't get enough, right? Yes, it was Logan.
Oh yeah.
Can't get
Yep.
enough. I'm not gonna show it again. I keep showing them from Love Drive, right? Yes, from Love Drive.
Yep.
Great
Yep.
song, fast energy, high energy song. I thought it was gonna make my top 10, and then it didn't because I was looking at the '70s stuff. It's just I started
It's
doing the
another
math
one.
on this. Yep.
It's another one too, man. That's Killer on the Live album, Worldwide
Oh yeah,
Live,
I've
because they
watched
like
that
cut
live
it up
footage
in
of that
parts.
so many times, and it's just such a good live song. Like I said,
Yep.
when I put this list together, I was just thinking, and then you start doing the math, and you think how many songs are going to make the top 10, and then you realize, wow, there's actually like 30 songs that I really, really love. So how am I going to, what am I taking off here? Like there's songs that aren't even in my honorables that I love and that I would sit there listening to over and over and over again.
We
So it's a
probably could
really
have done a top 40 of the Scorpions
top 40
probably
Scorpions
easily. We'd be here all day going through it, but
easily.
we could have that easily. Yeah, that's what I feel. Some of these songs you guys
Crazy.
mentioned, I definitely would have had them if it was like a top 40, but
Yeah,
unfortunately we kind of just pare it down to 10 and throw in some
yeah,
honorables kind of just to give people, an
right.
idea of what we're looking at. But what else you got for honorables
My
there?
second honorable. Oh, I'm so bad at remembering albums. Oh my God, what album? Logan, what album is Robot Man on?
In Trance. It's on
In
In
Trance
Trance.
is on Trance. Yeah, okay. So yeah, Robot Man. Great song. Really weird song with like, because I don't know what that effect is, but Logan might know. He plays
Oh
guitar.
yeah.
Do you know what that
At
effect
the
would
start
be?
of it.
It's
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't.
it's a weird wah wah thing, but it's really
Kind of
weird.
sounds like a wah or something, maybe something
Yeah.
like that.
And then if you ever check, there's
Yeah.
old live footage of them doing it, and Klaus Meine is like tap dancing the entire time to it. It's totally ridiculous. It's just makes me laugh watching that old footage of with Uli and yeah, Klaus is there tap dancing to Robot Man the entire time. And I guess he's supposed to be the Robot Man. Is that like the point of that? He's kind of doing this robot dance, really weird. It's kind of funny. And then from Taken by Force is "We'll Burn the Sky."
Mm.
Great song.
Ooh.
And yeah, that's another. It's kind of like a little epic. It's sort of an epic, I guess you could call it. It's a little bit of a longer song, but yeah, it's a "We'll Burn the Sky." It's a great song, and that's my 13, 12, and 11.
All right. What do you got there for yours,
All right.
Logan?
Well, I'm gonna cheat a little bit here. I wrote down a couple more.
Okay.
I'm not gonna go crazy with it, but
20 honorables.
yeah. Well, I want to tell Sidney, man, I was torn between Virgin Killer and Catch Your Train, like all day. I was like, I don't know what one I'm gonna put on my list, but yeah, Catch Your Train is definitely a highlight for me off that record. It should be in the top 10. It's like 7.5. How about that? But yeah, there's that one. Sidney mentioned Speedy's coming too. I'll Fly to the Rainbow. That's definitely one of my favorites from the early period. I love that video. I'm sure you've seen it, Sidney.
Yep.
Joey might have seen it too. There's video from like 77 of them doing a little concert. It's like 30 minutes or something. But yeah,
Yep.
Uli's just like whamming away on the whammy bar at the start of that song, man. Oh, it's killer. But yeah, love that song. And I got Dark Lady and the title track In Trance from In
Nice.
Trance, because I love both of them songs, and I love what Sidney said about In Trance kind of being a precursor to what came in the 80s, because it really is, even for these guys. I mean, you could say some of the ballads from the 80s kind of what delved from what they were doing there with that song. Of course, I have the title, well, not the title track, but the first song on this album, Make It Real. Love that one, man. Kind of a great, like, poppier Scorpions tune. Like, it could have been a hit. I don't know how it wasn't a hit, really.
Yeah.
Should have been. But, yeah, it's a killer track. And my last one, Joey mentioned it on
10 honorables here.
Yeah, my last one. Joey mentioned it on his list. Still Loving You. Probably the Scorpions' best ballad, man. Yeah, I love that one. But yeah, that's all I got.
Okay.
I
Yeah. I
Went a little
kind of I
overboard,
kind
but
of I kind of cheated just a smidge on just one. I gave one extra one here.
didn't know we
Um
could cheat. I'll throw in more. No, I'm kidding.
well, it was just because if I would have kicked this song out of here, we wouldn't have been bringing up the whistling here. So number 14, I've got Wind of Change,
Oh, okay.
which basically was the song that, really, it got it helped Crazy World basically make platinum, but I think it helped their
Yeah.
worldwide image and their
Yeah.
worldwide sales was the big thing. I mean, it just didn't just hit number 4 in the US. It did a lot for their career, overseas and everything. Because, like I was telling you guys about the stuff in the 80s, even some of the 80s stuff didn't even chart in these other countries. But of
Crazy.
course, once Wind of Change came in, that totally, you know, knocked everything else out of there for them, and then if you look at their chart history on their singles, the Wind of Change went basically every country it charted with about 6 countries that song went number one in. So, I mean,
Yeah.
and then the next song, Send Me an Angel, was a ballad that also charted in every country. And then it was spotty the rest of the way, but still, those two songs on that Crazy World really made a big impact on their career there. So
Oh yeah.
that got it at number 14. 13, I'm going to go back to Crazy World. It's one of the heavier songs on the album. So maybe you guys will appreciate that part of it. I've got Hip Between the Eyes, a
That's
great concert song, definitely one of their better songs. It got some airplay on the radio as well. So there's that. Number 12, I'm going back to Blackout. I've got Dynamite, probably one of their
okay.
fastest paced songs in their 80s on career. That song just smokes right on through, just a fast paced driving song. And yeah, I just love that one. And then for my number 11, which just missed the top 10, got the title track from Love Drive.
Nice.
Yeah, I love that song. Love
oh,
Drive is one of these great Scorpion songs that should have gotten more love. Obviously that was if I'm not mistaken, that was a couple albums before Blackout. It was 79. Um,
yeah,
but I think Love Drive, Animal Magnetism kind of built up the Blackout, which built up the
Yeah.
Love at First Sting. So you can see the
Yeah.
atmospheric rise in their
yeah,
career there. Those other albums helped lay
yeah.
laid the groundwork for that, the foundation for them to continually start in their ascent. So
I think
that's what I've got.
I think that's I think that's why I love that period so much, just because how you were saying it just kind of builds up with each record, really.
Yeah.
But I even include Taken by Force in that because I think that's just peak what they were doing with Uli, really. And then he leaves, and it's like, oh no, what are we gonna do? But I think they just continued on, got Schenker back for an
Yeah.
album, and it's just great stuff, man. No matter how you look at it.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
no doubt. All right. Well, there you have, folks. We got our Scorpion songs, and we definitely touched on all eras. Except you wouldn't even see too many songs post 1991's Crazy World, except for the one from Rock Believer.
Oh yeah.
So
Hmm.
Yeah,
that's not to take away from any of those other albums because they do have a few good songs. And I mean, it's not like these albums were total duds. Although I think Sidney will say something about Eye to Eye there.
There's some good
yeah.
songs, but most of it's just yeah,
Cringy.
yeah, a little bit.
I'll tell you one though, guys. 2004's Unbreakable. That album's pretty good. I
Okay.
like that one.
I still have to listen to it. I don't think I've ever actually sat there and listened to that album.
That's that's the fun thing about this though. A lot of these albums, like Joey's talking about Crazy World and stuff, I haven't listened to them since like I first got into the band. You know what I mean? And I just love going back to it, and now I'm gonna go back to it again. Because with what he was talking about.
Yeah, you mentioned "Tease Me, Please Me." That's the one song that I really remember from that. That is actually that's probably my favorite song from that album. So
Yeah.
that's that is a good song.
Great
Yeah.
stuff all around.
Oh
Yeah, I
yeah,
think one of the other albums you guys each mentioned, I think Sting in the Tail was definitely one of the
Yeah.
stronger albums from
Yeah.
the later period there.
That was supposed to be the last one, Joey, but
Right.
yeah.
As a matter of fact, since we're mentioning that album, there's a song on there that it was teetering if it was going to make an honorable mention, and I'm talking about "The Best Is Yet to Come." I don't know if you're familiar with that song, the last song
So
on the
Yeah.
album.
last track,
They
yeah.
they play it live a lot early on in that tour and everything. The thing that there's that part where he goes, "Hey, hi, oh," and all this stuff. The song is great until you get to that part. I'm going,
Yeah, it's a bit weird at the
how
end.
can I have this in my? I mean, if you take out that dumb "Hey, hi, oh" and all that,
We're doing a soccer chant or something. Like it's
yeah,
weird.
isn't it weird how like just one part of a song can just ruin the whole song for you almost in a way?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's true.
Because if it wasn't for that part, I think that song probably would have been like in my top 10, just
Nice.
barely. But I love the premise of the song, the what it means, the lyrics, saying the best is yet to come. And yeah, it went over pretty good live. I'll give them that because they let the crowd do that part of it. So, all right, so that's what we got, folks. There goes the Scorpions top 10 songs, bunch of honorable mentions, and let's let you guys talk about where they can find you and check out your channel.
Okay, yeah. So thank you for letting us do that. So it's Slogans Rock and Metal Extravaganza. You can just find it on YouTube. And yeah, if you want to check it out, like and subscribe if you want. Just watch the videos. I also forgot to mention we do have a second series, but we mentioned earlier how we do like these band catalogs and talk about all the songs and all the albums. We have a second series where we actually play music. It's a music hangout, basically just screen sharing YouTube and just kind of reacting to music. So right now we started a series called State to State Obscurities and First Listens. So it's pretty much just I went looked up a bunch of bands from had to go from every single state and just picked bands that most people have never heard of and just listening to all their albums. Some of them are one album bands, so it's not that difficult. But yeah, for the most part, I tried to pick stuff that only had like one or two, so it's not too crazy. So yeah, we're doing that, and it's a lot of fun because Logan's never heard this stuff either, and it's kind of just cool to like just hang out and there's no prep for it. Like it's just kind of just sit there, chill, and hang out and listen to music, and it just gets people into these albums that you never would have heard if it weren't for the internet. Like this
So
stuff just got lost in the 70s and 80s. There's some newer bands too that are kind of doing like an older sound as well. So it's fun to just hang out and chill. And that's our Sunday show, and then Saturdays is the series where we discuss the bands. So
all right,
yeah, so that's
sounds good.
check that out.
All right,
And
so we'll put your channel in the link there so people can know where
okay,
to go for
perfect.
it. They can
Thank
click
you.
right on it. And yeah, it was great having you guys on. We'll have to do this again soon with some other bands down the road here. This is
Glad
good
to do
time
it.
because you guys gave me a lot of great songs to go back and re-listen to,
Nice.
and
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I like it when we get this. Like Logan described it perfectly, how you were in the 70s, I was in the 80s, and he was like in the middle. It's classic, classic. Just awesome to see, no doubt.
Yeah.
All right, guys, good to see you,
Yeah, of course.
and you take care.
Oh, and you got to announce, look out. Joey's going to be on our channel, actually. He's going to be on
Yep.
our, once we get to the Whitesnake section of our John Sykes show. So look out for Joey on our channel too. He's actually going to appear on there. So
Thanks
yeah,
All
for
right.
having us on, Joey.
yeah. So thanks for having us on, and you're always
Yep.
welcome to be on ours as well. So
All right. Thanks a
yeah,
lot,
of
guys.
course.